Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the Trump team's visit to the Department of Justice, which is going on as we speak. This is a big deal, just because what it confirms. So, look, we've been talking for a long time. It seems there's nothing left to do in the grand jury. They haven't been meeting. On the other hand, Smith has continued to gather evidence. This shows we are indeed on a footing to a fast indictment of the former president of the United States on serious felony charges by the Department of Justice he used to lead. Take a step back, swallow that, take a deep breath. Why do I say that? Because this is the step. We know that a few weeks ago they made an overture. We want to come in and talk to you. That easily, it being Team Trump, could have been a PR stunt. We really weren't sure what to make of it, although it'd be consistent with the sort of end game. We then know that DOJ and Trump talked back and forth, and now we know that 3 lawyers have shown up on Monday morning to meet with people at DOJ. That stage happens only when, all right, I'll hedge a bit. This is a big case. I could imagine scenarios where it would be happening a little bit sooner, but almost certainly there's a kind of lawyerly hedge, but it's important. There's a chance that they're not ready to pull the trigger, but the overwhelming likelihood is you meet with defendants when you are ready to indict. You give them a last chance to talk you out of it. What does that mean here? It means that Smith has given everything into the grand jury and he's done with them. And then further, it means he's gone to the attorney general, provided a recommendation of indictment on, we can get to the charges in a moment, but they are serious. And the attorney general has accepted that recommendation. Why do I say that? Because otherwise there's nothing to meet about. He can't go back to the grand jury and ask for charges unless Garland has approved it. That's the way the regime works. Now, Garland, of course, could say, "Let's hear from them first." It doesn't mean that it's set in stone. They're going to want to. Just as a matter of course, you do this in every case. When I was U.S. attorney, I always did it when somebody asked, hear from the defendants. And even though Trump, of course, has been acting like a jackass in public and totally pillaring the department, this is the time where professionals set that aside. We realize it's just theater and posturing, and there's always something to try to ask for, even if you look, guilty as sin, even if you've been saying I'll never plead, etc. So what would that be? It's based on where the parties see themselves, like any other settlement, as a baseline. Is DOJ sitting with all the cards and they think they can convict him in a heartbeat? In fact, are there flaws or blemishes in their case? So even if it's a very strong case, a smart lawyer, and you have to, Trump has so many stupid lawyers, but he's got a couple that are sophisticated, know how this dance and process works, and you have to imagine they're the ones who've come in. It's high stakes poker and high stakes strategy. Could they have, for example, said, well, it looks like we've got a charge of, espionage, obstruction, and unlawful possession of these documents coming down the pike. They look really seriously at what those charges might hold, and they could say, look, we will offer to plea to one of these or 2 of them, or that would be the discussion. And in return, why would the DOJ why would they say it? They would say it because they think, they're looking at a conviction and a process that would totally time up during the election. Why would DOJ even consider it? Well, for one, they'll be very serious about considering how they've treated like cases. And there are at least some cases, John Deutsch comes to mind, in which the Department of Justice accepted pretty soft sweetheart deals. And, the Team Trump could come in, do as you did with Deutsch, and promise us a non-custodial sentence. He may have to wear an ankle bracelet, but he's not going to jail. And there are, I'm not expressing an opinion about this because, when I do, people jump up and down. You'd really have to know all the factors. But you could imagine that the overall Solomonic, maybe you'd say, decision here would be to make him plead guilty, maybe insist on a felony, but not send him to jail, not have the sort of lurid spectacle and political, hornet's nest of actually the jail door closing behind the former president. Basically anything. There's always a deal. It's just kind of ironic, because Trump would say this, but there's always a deal to be made. If it's, if you're looking like it's terrible and this is where it is, you may try for a deal here. Maybe you persuade them the case is here and try for a deal there. So it just stands to reason that they're going in and trying to, discuss something. We'll know, by the way, if what they're thinking about and if the two sides are miles apart, we'll know it because the meeting will break up, and I think you'll see charges follow in short order. If, however, there's something to think about, or just out of fairness, they want to really consider it, now it might take a week, even 2 weeks, to really consider are we going to do this before making a final decision. And these conversations, they really are where professional lawyers, if Trump's going to play it that way, put their posturing aside and just sort of, talk deal. And so in order to facilitate that, they are confidential. So unless the Trump team leaks what they did, and of course you wouldn't be able to trust the substance of it, we're not going to know. We're not supposed to know what happens there, because you can imagine that's powerful information. The defendant, who now is saying at trial he was never near the place, was offering to plead. What's that about? So these are really professional, confidential discussions among professionals who are normally very respectful and serious and thoughtful, just like any case. We saw Dominion and Fox go to settlement, and that was from the start very strong for Dominion, but Fox was able to push it back a little. Well, more than a little, maybe. They didn't get an apology, for example. There's room for a deal, depending on, and it'll be along the borders of where the two sides think the case is. Okay, so high stakes here, and general confirmation of a process that is an inch and a half away from an indictment of Donald Trump, but really could go to some other kind of resolution, depending on what Trump offers and how the department evaluates it. Big stakes, needless to say. But I'll start again with the headline that this shows that they're really ready to pull the trigger absent an offer that they're think is very serious and want to evaluate. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.